Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive into an options trading strategy using 3 indicators that you might have heard of before.
All right.
Moving averages, VWAP, and MACD.
Sounds good.
So for anyone who's ever thought about like maybe dipping their toes into options trading, but they were like, you know what, that's a little too scary for me. I'm not really ready to do that.
Yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll have a simple framework that you can use to make more informed trading decisions.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first up we've got moving averages, or MAs as the cool kids call them.
Right.
Now, to understand this, imagine you're at the beach and you're looking out at the waves.
Oh, right. I like it.
You see those little choppy waves coming in quickly, and then every so often you get those big slow swells that just roll in more gradually.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
So the short-term MA, like a 15-day moving average, that's like the choppy waves.
Gotcha.
And the longer-term MA, like a 50-day MA, that's like the big slow swells.
I like it. Yeah.
So how do these waves actually help us trade options?
Well, so the magic really happens when these two moving averages cross each other.
Okay.
So think of it like this.
Right.
When that short-term MA kind of like rides above that longer-term MA, it's a signal that the price is maybe trending upwards.
Okay.
Which traders, we like to call that bullish.
Okay, got it.
And so that could be a good time to consider buying call options.
Okay, so we've got the short-term wave and the long-term wave.
Yeah.
When that short-term wave is on top of that long-term wave, that means that things are looking up for this stock.
Potentially, yeah.
What about the other way around?
So yeah, when that short-term MA dips below that longer-term MA, that's kind of like the tide turning the other way.
Got it.
That suggests a potential downtrend, which we call bearish.
All right.
And that could be a time to think about buying put options.
Okay, so just by using these two moving averages, we can already get a sense of where the price might be headed.
Exactly, but you always want to look for confirmation.
Okay.
You know, 2 is better than 1 in this case.
Got it.
So that's where our second indicator comes in, VWAP.
VWAP.
Volume weighted average price.
Okay.
It sounds a little complicated, but really it's not.
All right, so let's break down this VWAP.
Sure.
What is this, and how can it help us confirm what the moving averages are showing us?
So think of VWAP as a way to see where the smart money is flowing.
Okay.
It shows you the average price that traders have paid for a stock over a specific period, taking into account the volume traded at each price level.
Okay, so if the stock price is above its VWAP, that means that the buyers are very active.
Yeah, they're in control.
And they're pushing the price up.
Pushing the price up, exactly.
What about the opposite?
So if the price is below VWAP, that suggests the sellers are in control.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we're using VWAP to kind of double check that the moving averages are telling us the truth.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got moving average and VWAP. But there's one more indicator we've got to talk about.
Yes, there is.
MACD.
That's right. MACD, or Moving Average Convergence Divergence, is a momentum indicator. So think of it like a surfer riding those waves of buying and selling pressure.
So how does MACD actually work?
So MACD has 2 lines, the MACD line itself and then a signal line.
Okay.
And when that MACD line crosses above that signal line, it suggests that momentum is building to the upside, a bullish signal.
Okay, so if that MACD line is shooting up, that means that like we're catching a big wave and we're riding it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're riding that momentum.
What if it goes the other way?
So if it crosses below that signal line, that means momentum is starting to fade.
Okay.
So it might be time to like hop off the wave before it crashes.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these all fit together.
Yeah.
So we got moving averages to show us the trend.
Yes.
We got VWAP to see if the smart money is agreeing with us. And then we've got MACD to check the momentum.
Exactly, and the beauty of using all 3 of them together is that it gives you a much more well-rounded view of what's happening in the market.
So how do we put this all together to make a trading decision?
Right.
Is there a specific process we should follow?
Yeah, that's where our trading checklist comes in. It's kind of like having our recipe for success.
Okay.
You know, it helps you make sure that you have all the ingredients in place before you actually, like, you know, go ahead and place that trade.
Okay, I love checklists.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing we look at?
First, we check those moving averages. Is the short-term moving average above the long-term moving average?
Cool.
If so, we're potentially looking at an uptrend or, you know, a bullish scenario.
Okay, so that short-term wave needs to be riding high.
Yeah.
If we even want to consider buying calls.
Exactly.
Well, next.
Next, we check VWAP.
Okay.
Remember, we want to see if that smart money is actually supporting the move. Is the stock price trading above its VWAP?
Okay.
If it is, that's another point, for the bulls.
Okay, 2 checks in the bullish column so far.
Exactly.
What about MACD?
Last but not least, we look at MACD. Is that MACD line crossing above the signal line?
Okay.
If yes, that confirms increasing bullish momentum.
So if all 3 of these indicators are lining up and giving us those bullish signals, that means it's a good time to consider buying call options.
Exactly. It's like having 3 green lights telling you it's safe to go.
Okay.
That's
a good way to put it. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So I can already see how this checklist can help you make a decision.
Yeah.
What about the opposite scenario?
Sure.
What if we're thinking about buying put options? So betting on the price going down.
Yeah, it's the same process, just in reverse.
Okay.
So first, you'd want to see that short-term MA below the long-term MA, indicating a potential downtrend.
Okay, so the short-term wave has to be below the long-term wave to even consider puts.
Exactly.
Got it. So what's next?
Then you check, is the price trading below VWAP, suggesting sellers are in control? And finally, you want to see that MACD line crossing below the signal line, confirming that bearish momentum.
So 3 red lights this time.
Yeah, 3 red lights.
Okay.
Signaling a potential put buying opportunity.
Now this checklist, it's not foolproof.
No, of course not.
Right.
Nothing in trading is.
But using it can help make more informed decisions.
Absolutely. It can definitely help you make more informed and disciplined decisions.
It can also take some of the emotion out of trading.
For sure.
Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the excitement, especially when you see a stock moving quickly.
Oh yeah, you can definitely get caught up in the FOMO.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to have a clear plan and to stick to that checklist.
Yeah.
It helps you avoid making those impulsive trades, based on fear or greed.
So this strategy, it's all about letting the data guide your decisions.
Exactly. It takes a lot of the emotion and guesswork out of the equation.
Now, what if the indicators aren't all giving us the same signal?
Yeah.
What if they're disagreeing with each other?
That's a great question.
For example, let's say that the moving averages are giving us a bullish signal, but VWAP is below the price.
Right.
What do we do?
That's where things get a little bit more nuanced, and it's important to use your judgment. In that scenario, it could mean that the uptrend is just starting to develop, and that smart money hasn't fully jumped on board yet.
So maybe wait for confirmation from VWAP.
Exactly. You could wait for further confirmation, or you could adjust your strategy and look for a different trade setup where all 3 indicators are aligned.
Okay.
The important thing is to be aware of the potential risks and to make sure you're comfortable with the level of uncertainty.
I'm starting to see that there's no one right answer here.
Right.
It's about using these indicators, reading those signals, and making the best decision you can.
Precisely. And the more you practice and gain experience, the better you'll become at interpreting those signals and making those judgment calls.
This all makes so much sense now.
Awesome.
We've talked a lot about buying calls and puts. Can you give us an example of how this might actually play out in a real-life trading scenario?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's say you're watching a stock. Maybe it's a company you like or one that's been in the news. You pull up your charts and you notice that 15-day moving average has just crossed above the 50-day moving average.
Cool.
Boom, there's our first bullish signal.
All right, so we see those choppy waves riding high above those big slow swells.
Right, exactly.
That means the trend could be shifting up.
It could be.
Then we look at VWAP and we see that the price is also trading above that level.
Another bullish sign.
That means the smart money's buying in.
They are.
Then we look at MACD and bam.
Bam, what do we see?
The MACD line is crossing above the signal line.
Yes, confirming that bullish momentum.
Okay, so now all 3 of our indicators are giving us bullish signals. It's looking like it could be a good time to buy some call options.
Right. All systems are it's like having 3 green lights telling you it's time to make a move.
You know what I like about this strategy? Is that it takes the guesswork out of it.
For sure.
You're not relying on your gut feeling or some hot stock tip you saw on the internet.
No.
You're letting the data guide you. It's like having a roadmap.
Exactly. And the more you practice using these indicators and this checklist, the more comfortable you're going to become spotting those high probability setups.
So you don't even have to be a Wall Street whiz to do this.
No, not at all. Anyone can learn these basic concepts and start using them.
All right, so we went over a lot today.
We did.
I feel like I have a much better understanding of how to approach options trading now.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
So before we wrap things up, what is one piece of advice you would give to our listeners who are excited to start using this strategy?
Don't be afraid to experiment. Every trader is different. So play around with different moving average periods. Try combining the strategy with other indicators. And most importantly, just keep learning and growing as a trader.
That's great advice. And remember, folks, knowledge is power. Keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and never stop exploring this crazy world of trading.
That's right.
We'll see you next time for another exciting deep dive.